Hey y'all, welcome to the Sea Y'all Life. In this video, we're going to talk about our latest costly fix. But this time we didn't mind handing over the money.
Finally, we have another holding tank. And folks, it's a game changer. It took us over a year to find a solution to this very difficult problem. But we found an expert a few weeks ago who was able to figure out exactly what to do. So here's the backstory. We own this beautiful 44-foot DeFever trawler with ample living space, tons of storage, a huge fuel tank, and an itty bitty teeny weeny blackwater holding tank, 30 gallons to be exact. The problem started 1 year ago this week when we moved full-time aboard Sea Y'all. I was the tank and the gauge manager, and I had to constantly keep an eye on it. And it was really stressful because it just wasn't a big enough tank for 2 people to live aboard this boat. So there were various strategies involved to get us through the week. We love our pump out service, and they pumped our boat out for $15 a week, but there were a number of weeks where we would have to get an additional emergency pump out on a Saturday for $45. So it was crazy, it was costly, it was very stressful. Yes, it was such a source of frustration and stress, especially because over the past 12 months, we had talked to a number of people to try to find a solution, and because of the way our boat was built, it just wasn't a super easy fix. So recently we were introduced to Weber Marine, and they went to work to find the answers to our problems.
So plan A was to buy a whole new tank, cut out the existing tank, and add maybe 20 gallons, go to a 50-gallon tank, or maybe 10 gallons. We weren't sure what we could fit in there. But the problem with that was potentially finding the right shape and size and getting a 50-gallon tank down in there. Plan B was to add a tank and keep the existing tank and use the new tank to just run the aft toilet, and then the front tank would handle the bow toilet. The existing tank would handle the bow toilet. And plan C was to buy a new boat.
So what were the pros and cons of each of the plans?
Well, like I said, the cons would be to buy a 50-gallon tank that fits down in below your floorboards into the hull. Would have been a challenge for sure.
Especially because it had sort of a V shape to it, right?
It is configured different down there.
I have one more question. A couple of the people that looked at it over time, they had different opinions. Some thought it was sort of part of the structure of the boat, and others didn't.
So the problem with plan A would be you're cutting out part of your boat. It's in the superstructure of the boat, fiberglass into the hull. So there's always concerns with that. It could be done, but whenever you're cutting out into the hull of the boat, it gets a little dicey.
And what were the cons with plan B?
Plan B was just securing the secondary tank, and there's a bilge pump down there, and there's a sump pump down there for our forward berth shower. So getting it to fit and then getting access to those 2 mechanical parts was a potential problem. And then plan C, buying a whole new boat.
Correct. The least of which isn't that we love our boat.
This had to be removed from where our blackwater holding tank is. I need another place to put it since we expanded our tanks.
What do you think's up with the still waters?
Well, you want to be in still waters when you anchor.
Yeah, that's sort of
If
cool.
possible. And if you're not in still waters, then you need a lot of anchors.
We got to find a home for that big boy.
Yeah, I'm going to try underneath the seats here first, but I know what I'm going to find.
Oh, we have a pumpkin.
Yep, actually will fit in here.
A lot of random stuff.
Ready?
Yep.
For the unveiling?
Yep.
Ta-da!
Oh, isn't she
Let's
a
get
beauty?
that shiny new tank. Okay. So there's the gap between the 2 tanks, and then behind it is additional 25-gallon tank, bringing us to 55 gallons, and it's strapped in here. As you can see, at the front of the boat is the existing tank that is long and thin and then comes to a V because that's where the bow comes to the V. So we added the tank behind it, which is more square, even a little bit rectangular, because we had more room in the back, and it brings our total to 55 gallons.
Yay!
So like I said previously, the 2 tanks operate as separate tanks, and we added a pump out to the outside of the aft tank. So the aft restroom head goes to the new tank, the forward head goes to the old tank. And the only way the two are joined is if you want to pump out overboard. He added basically a switch to switch over to each tank to pump out overboard. So the other thing we had to do was we had to cut into our wine cellar, and we had to cut a hole so we had access to the front bilge pump and the sump pump for the shower up front, like I said. And we got a new bilge pump in the sump pump because it was the original, a 1988 bilge pump, and you don't want a 35-year-old bilge pump still in.
And it would have made it a lot harder to fix it later once we had this pump in, this new tank in.
Yeah, but the reason we cut the hole is so we have access to it, and
Got it.
Yeah, but it would still be harder.
Okay.
This is how far forward and V'd the old tank is.
And the best thing is we got a new gauge that we can flip to tank 1 to see how full that is, and then tank 2. We only had the 1 gauge before, obviously. Yeah, with our old gauge, the light was on at all times, so this one has a neutral position where the light goes off. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see y'all soon.